Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a really small book haul for you guys. I have not gotten that many books yet in 2024, but I do want to share with you all the ones that I have gotten. But before we go ahead and get on into the book haul, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I do try and post videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. So the first two books I'm going to show you are new books that I've gotten, and then I have three used books. Four used books. Okay, so I have 6 books that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. 2 new and 4 used. So the first book is Antimatter Blues by Edward Ashton. This is the second book in the Mickey 7 series. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series or if it is just a duology, but I read Mickey 7 at the end of last year and really enjoyed it. I do have a full review for this. I will link it up in the cards for you. And I actually ended up putting it on one of my favorite books of the year list just because I was pleasantly surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it, considering that the beginning of the book was a little bit rocky. But in this world, we are following Mickey, and Mickey is a replicant, so he can be killed, but all of his genetic information, his memories, his thoughts, they are almost like backed up. And they can be downloaded into the new Mickey. So Mickey was part of this crew that was going to Niflheim, which is this planet. They were trying to see, if I remember correctly, if it could be colonized or something along those lines. He was on some sort of mission like that. And he ends up running into the native species there, which are very much animalistic type species. But of course, the people that are trying to colonize the planet want nothing to do with the indigenous species and wage war on them. But Mickey knows that there's more to it than, everyone else is seeing. So we're kind of in this spot where Mickey is acting as a liaison between the indigenous species and the humans that are trying to, get resources from this planet. So I was really hoping that the second book would delve more into this species and their interactions with the humans, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So the reason that I liked Mickey 7 so much is, number one, these books are fairly short for sci-fi, but yet the sci-fi elements are very well done, and it has a very lighthearted tone, very much reminiscent of The Martian by Andy Weir. So I'm very glad to have this book in my possession, and hopefully I can get to it soon. The next book I got was Gothicana by Runix. I have already read this. I do have a full review for it, so I will link that up in the cards for you. I just read it a couple of weeks ago. But this is a romance, a dark gothic romance, and it is an adult 18+ book. It follows a girl named Corvina. Corvina is an orphan. Her mother suffered from schizophrenia, and she was raised by her mother in kind of like an unconventional way. And one day she receives a letter from a school located in this very remote part of the state where she lives in, on top of this mountain, and she decides to attend this school. It's a college. And when she gets there, she ends up falling for her professor named Vad, who is also a graduate student there. And in addition to the romance between the two of them, there is a mystery component where students are committing suicide at the school that displayed no suicidal symptoms, and there's something malignant going on there. As well as every year at this masked ball, students of the college are kidnapped and killed, and this has been going on for decades and decades and decades. So everybody thinks that the college is somehow cursed or there's something going on, serial killer, we don't know. So there's a romantic aspect to this book as well as a mystery aspect to this book, and the atmosphere was great. I loved it. The plot was so-so, but like I said, if you're interested in checking out all my thoughts about this book, check out the video review I posted. Now onto the used books that I picked up. The first one is Saint by Adrienne Young. This is a prequel novel to her Fable duology, which includes Fable and Namesake. I do have reviews for both of those books, so I will link those up in the cards if you're interested in checking them out. They are a young adult maritime fantasy story, and this book follows Fable's father in his backstory. So in this book, we learn that Saint's father was a very prominent seaman, and he ended up getting killed. And Saint is trying to fill his father's shoes. And he has gotten his own reputation as being very respectful of the sea and believing all of the myths and everything surrounding the ocean. And he has gotten a reputation as being a very lucky sailor because he seems to survive every single bad luck situation or storm that he encounters on the ocean. Days before, Saint ends up inheriting his father's ship, his father's crew, a license for dredging, which is where um, seamen get gems from under the ocean to sell. An unnamed dredger, the people that do this, crosses his path and basically threatens everything that he has worked for his entire life ever since his father died. So it sounds like an interesting Adrian Young type story, and I'm actually quite excited to read it. Next, I picked up Wings of Shadow by Nikki Pau Preto. This is another YA fantasy, and it is the third book in the Crown of Feathers series. Have I read the first two books in the series? Absolutely not. I don't even know if I'm going to like it, but whenever I see like a brand new hardcover for a couple of dollars, I'm going to pick it up. Even if I don't end up liking it, it's still like worth the experience for me to read. So, as far as I know, this series follows Phoenix Riders. That's all I know. That's really it. And like I said, I haven't read the first two books, so I'm not going to read the synopsis of this to see what happens because I don't want to be spoiled. But if you guys have read the Crown of Feathers series, let me know in the comments if it's any good. It's another series that I will definitely get to eventually. Then I found The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is the same author as The Silent Patient. That is a book that I read, I think 2 years ago. It's a thriller, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I also have a full review of that book, so I will link it up in the cards if you're interested in checking it out. But this is a dark academia thriller, and I'm super excited that I found it for like $2. But the Maidens is actually a society at Cambridge, and the members are chosen by this Greek tragedy professor named Edward. And it's like a very, very select, very prestigious type society. When one of the maidens is found murdered, we are following a character named Mariana, who is a therapist currently, but she went to college at Cambridge, and she found herself drawn back to the university and back into this story, or back into this world of the maidens, because she was one at one time when she was a college student. But what Mariana uncovers is that the society and this university in general hosts a whole web of deep, dark secrets, and the killer of this young maiden actually starts to come after Mariana and the people that she loves, so she takes it upon herself to protect herself and those that she loves, as well as exposing the secret of this murder. I know that The Silent Patient had a really good twist at the end for a thriller, so I'm actually very excited to see how Michaelides does that in this book as well. And the last book I found yesterday when I just happened to stop into my used bookstore, and that is Three Body Problem by Saoirse Liu. I was super pumped to get this book because I know that Netflix just put out, or is about to put out, the television show based on this book. And not only that, but I have heard about it for years and years, and it's been like on my mental TBR. But this is originally written, I think, in Mandarin, and it's been translated by Ken Liu. And it is the first book in a series, an adult sci-fi series that takes place during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. And I know very little of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Most of my knowledge comes from a book I read about it, a memoir of a girl that grew up during this time period called Red Scarf Girl. So I did have to learn some of that history when I read that book, and it's a time when Chinese, from my understanding, were quite oppressed. So it'll be interesting to have that backdrop as the setting of this book. But from my understanding, in this series, we are following a world that has somehow made contact with aliens. So the aliens receive the contact from the humans and decide to invade Earth. And Earth starts to separate into different groups, some of which want to welcome the aliens and encourage them, and some that want to fight against them. So we have the sci-fi element and these aliens element, and then we have like the utter breakdown of society based on those events in this book. That's all I know about it. I don't know why it's called The Three Body Problem, but I've heard really good things about it, and I'm actually very excited to dig into it and then maybe watch the Netflix show. All right, you guys, that is it for my book haul. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye.